Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of T-Dog RC, and we're back on the bench with the 90-inch Flybaby, and what we're going to be doing in this episode is getting this beautiful engine initially mounted to the firewall. Just want to get this done, so I want to get the engine mounted and then get the cowl on and get the cowl measured up. Because I like to get that bit out of the way really. So what I'm going to do is get all that done in this episode, get the throttle cable run and bits and bobs like that, get the fuel tank sort of installed, just to have a look how it fits in, and then I'll take all this off again, because once I've done that then I need to take that off and finish the rest of the model, like the tail, and get all the gear installed and stuff. But I want to just get this bit out of the way first. So just checking the manual. There's not a lot of information on mounting the engine. It literally just says to line the middle of it up with, there's some marks here. So there's centre mark there, centre mark there, centre mark there, centre mark there. So we've got to kind of line the engine up with those marks, which is going to be relatively tricky. Although there is, if we have a look here, the way that that back plate is shaped, probably sit better from that side maybe, when I can figure out which way the camera is. So in that centre bit there is going to be, you can't see it because the throttle's in the way, but that's going to be the centre where it wants lining up with. And all it says is that it's got to be between 160 and 165 mils from the firewall to the front of the prop nut. And I've quickly sort of offered this up with, you get the standoff kit, which you get in the Saito engine, or with the Saito engine, should I say. That is literally more or less 165, in fact it's slightly under 165 mils, so it should in theory be relatively straightforward. It's just a case of putting those standoffs on, getting this mounted. And it should be about there. So first thing I've got to do is kind of get this into position, which is not going to be mega easy. Could almost do with a template really, but I've got to get that into position and then mark out where these holes are. Could really do with a template, that'd be nice. I'll double check the box, but I don't think there is one. I'm trying to think of another way I could do it. Don't think there is, without like stripping everything down, which I don't really want to do that on a brand new engine. Right, so here is what I've done after just having a think for a few minutes. There's no template, but what it does give you in the engine instructions here is the exact measurement of the middle of the mounting holes on that back plate. So it's 65 mils across and 45 mils up and down with the centre line, so that gives you the exact measurement of those four holes. So basically I've made a template, taking those measurements, drawing myself a square with centre lines, and then each corner of the square basically represents where the hole goes. And I've kind of verified that by putting the bolts in the engine like this and kind of just sort of offering it up like that. It's a bit tricky because obviously these bolts move around, but yeah, that's pretty much bang on there. And then if I take this, I've extended the lines, which you probably can't really, oh, you might be able to see. So I've just taken my pencil and extended these centre lines, well, the two side ones and this top one. Extended those out right to the edges, and then I basically just take my template like this, line the two sides up, and then line that top one up. And that, in theory, gives me the exact position to mount the engine and mark these four holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to masking tape this in place so it doesn't move around. Get a small little pilot drill, just drill 4 small little holes, and again just offer this up just to make sure I'm not doing something stupid before and go and drill the big holes in for the blind nuts. But I think that is going to be it really, and that's about as much as the engine needs to be lined up as per the instructions. So I'm going to do that, and then hopefully I'll have 4 holes in there that I can show you that are in the right place. Okay, so as you can see, the engine is on. It's gone on really nice. Obviously it's a massive lump of metal on the front, so it feels ridiculous having this bolted to the front at the minute, but of course I've not got any of the tail on yet. I've still got to put the horizontal stabilizer on, the back of the rudder. So I think, you know, hopefully it's going to balance out. The great thing is about this plane though is I've got loads of options for weight if I do need to. I mean, I can't believe I'm going to need to add a weight to the front, but if I do, there's so much room. Like there's a huge space here underneath the engine, but I might actually put the electronic ignition module here, but I'll see. But yeah, massive space, and same with the back really. There's loads of space inside the fuselage to be able to put some weights if needed, but hopefully we won't need any, but we'll see. The other thing is as well, there's a servo goes at the back of the model, and you can choose to have a mini servo or a standard servo. It's got both cutouts already there, so again, I will, before I cut that out, I'll check all that out, get it all sort of ready to put the servo in, like so I can check the CG before I actually cut any of the film out and decide whether I need a big servo or a mini servo. And then what I could do, I suppose, is if it needs more weight, is I could stick some weight to the back of the servo or something like that. So there's various options anyway, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. Just show you from the side how it looks. So fair bit of room here at the back, of course, as it's designed to do anyway with the standoffs, but yeah, that's gone on there really nice. So my next challenge now is the cowl. What I've done is I've just marked on here where from the top of this, it's the intake port, I think, here on top of the engine. So from the top of that, that's parallel, and then from the bottom of the engine here, I've got another mark there. So that's what I'm going to have to cut out of the cowl. And of course, the only way I'm going to do it is if I just sort of get the cowl alongside. It's difficult to sort of show you, but let's pull this back a bit. So there, you can see the top of the cowl there. So yeah, we're going to have to cut out like a big chunk of the cowl here. But there's no other way of doing it. The only really annoying thing is, and I need to think about this as well, is that the exhaust, which is just a piece of sort of flexi pipe like this, although it's not mega flexi, but it does bend. That screws into the port, the exhaust port here, and looking at it with a ruler and measuring, you know, sort of just looking by eye where the cowl goes, that is right in the middle of where the side of the cowl is, which is really annoying. And I don't know at this stage what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to have to just make a bigger cutout and either have the exhaust sort of coming out the side or see if I can tuck it in the middle. But first job is obviously going to be getting this cut out so we can get the engine on. And I've just been looking online. Let me just show you a picture of... Okay, so I know I could have probably inserted a picture, but kind of just want to point a few bits out. So this is just a picture of it. This is a real Flybaby on my phone. So this is the actual plane. You can see there that the sides of the engine, cylinder heads, stick out pretty far. So it's not going to look out of place having those big cutouts in the cowl, because that's kind of how it is on the original. And also you can see there that the exhaust sticks out the side as well and just comes down the side of the cowl. So I might do similar basically, and it's, you know, it's actually going to look pretty damn scale. The only issue I've got is at the back of the cowl here, I'm going to have a gap because I've got to cut that piece out, because I guess on theirs it's a two-piece cowl, so you've got the bottom of the cowl and then the top, which again I suppose could be an option. I could cut it in half. So yeah, that definitely is an option, isn't it? That's clearly what they've done there. You can see the fasteners there. They've cut the cowl in half, so I suppose I could do that. I could potentially cut it in half, and then have the bottom piece fixed, and the top half sort of lifts off and fastens to the bottom. The other idea I thought of is what I might do is see if we can get another cowl off VQ, and then just make and then cut this piece out of the other cowl and then bolt it on, so it's kind of a panel on the side, so it would cover all this up. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. So just need to sit and have a think what's best. I haven't thought about cutting the cowl in half, so yeah, I might do that. Obviously it's a bit drastic, and if it goes wrong, that's the end of the cowl. I think first thing I'm probably going to do is see if I can get another cowl online, because maybe I'll order another and then try my first method, see how that looks. If it looks terrible, then I can if I know I can get hold of another one, I could try actually cutting it in half, see if that's any better. So I'm going to have a think about that, and I will come back to you. Okay, so it's been a few days since that last clip, and what I've decided is there's only one solution really now. I've sat and thought about it. I've done a bit of research online. I can't get hold of another cowl, but I haven't tried emailing VQ, which I might do anyway. I certainly can't seem to see one on any of the shops. But yeah, after sort of having a look at some pictures, looking at some other models, Cowl have got quite a famous Flybaby model that they make. Obviously it's absolutely massive, and all of those have cut the cowl in half, and I've also looked at some other twin cylinder models, not necessarily Flybabys, and yeah, everyone just cuts the cowl in half. So it's really my only option, because it's just not going to look right if I just cut a hole, like a great big hole in the side, because you're just going to have a huge gap here, and then the cylinder head sticking out. So yeah, I think we've got to cut this in half, and then obviously cut some more pieces out here for the actual cylinder head to stick through, and same on the other side. And then what I'm going to do is make some plywood tabs, stick those to the bottom of the cowl, so I'll epoxy those on, and then we'll be able to put this on, and then I'll just have some of the nice sort of hex head screws to fasten it all in place. So first job I've got to do is get this cut in half, so I'm going to get that done using a Dremel, and then once I've done that, we'll get the engine back on, and I'll show you kind of how this looks, and we'll get it marked out to cut the cylinder head holes out. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. I'll show you when it's done. Okay, well, it's only a few minutes after that clip. Actually went pretty well. Used my Dremel, well actually it's a Bosch, but same thing, with a Dremel cutting disc on. Cut really nice and easy. Obviously got the masking tape on there, and as you can see, well, you can kind of see obviously at the moment that it is in half, but it's a pretty clean cut. So yeah, the only slight mistake I had is I just nudged the wheel up, and it's kind of just chipped that bit, but it's not the end of the world. It's only that one little bit. So that's fine. And the good thing is it's actually still pretty solid, even though it's in two halves, because the fiberglass is really quite thick, and some of the epoxy's been sort of laid on pretty thick, so it's not like gone really flimsy. So yeah, pretty pleased I've got that out of the way, because that was a little bit nerve-wracking. So what I'm going to do now is got the fuselage back on the bench. I'm going to get the engine mounted up, and then I think what I'm going to do is get the bottom cowl put in position, get that lined up with the engine, so you know the prop nuts just poking out there, and then get it cut out here, because I'm going to have to cut a slot out here, and then fasten this into place. And once I've got that fastened into place, then what I'll do is line this one up and go from there. And obviously I'm going to need to cut a bit out of that one as well. But yeah, let me get the engine bolted up and then I'll show you where we're at. Obviously it's not going to fit like this because I'm going to need to cut this out here. But we'll get all that sort of measured out, marked up. So I'll show you that in a second. Okay, well, this has been quite a lot of fun doing this. When I say fun, not that fun. It has taken me a long time to get this sorted. Not because the process has taken so long, but I've just been struggling to get into the workshop. But anyway, just managed to finish it off today. I did this a while back, the bottom half of the cowl. So as you can see, let me get my pencil to just point a few bits out. So I've got it lined up. Well, I can sort of line this up wherever I want really, because I could push this forward a bit, but at the moment it's sort of just at the back of that cutout there for the prop plate. I might push it forward just a tad, probably more like that really. The engine is angled down, so it's obviously got some down thrust built into it, so it's difficult to get it, you know, perfectly lined up, but it'll go something like that anyway. I obviously got this temporarily mounted just with two standoffs, one there and one there. And as you can see, I've managed to cut this out. It's a bit of a strange shape, but you've got the main cutout here for the cylinder head, and then I've had to sort of cut out an extra notch here for the exhaust. Now I did buy, which these may have been a waste of money, but I did buy some of these, which are right angle. These are proper Saito parts. So these are the ones I went for, and if anyone's looking for these, you can't actually buy them for this engine, which is the 40T, but what you can do is you can buy them for the 125A engine, and it's the exact same thread, because I'm guessing these cylinders are the same as the 125 Glow basically. So I guess that's around about 20cc each obviously. So if you are looking for these are the ones you want to go for. So I had to order 2 of those, obviously one for each side, and they just fasten into there, and it obviously gives you like a right angle, so I can get the exhaust out the way. But since I've then gone and cut the cowl, I can actually bend the exhaust that came with it quite nicely, because you can bend this quite a lot. I mean, obviously it is designed to be bendy, so I don't actually think I'm going to need these. So anyway, there we are, that's one of those things. So then the top I've also cut out in the same way, so you kind of need to cut out for the cylinder head, and then you also need to cut a notch out for the inlet on this side, on the top of the engine. And as you can see there, it is quite tight there. I may have to cut that out a little bit more, because it's kind of resting on that at the moment. Sure though, when I was fitting it earlier, it was... But anyway, it's going to go pretty much like that. So I obviously just need to trim just a little bit more out of there. So I will get that done. But yeah, that's pretty much sorted then. Fits in there quite nicely. And then because I've got a nice bit of overlap here between, well, over the cowl and the fuselage, I'm just going to, I don't need to put any ply plates around here. I'm just going to put 2 screws in here, two screws in here, and then 2 down the bottom. That will hold that pretty tight. And then what I'm going to do at the front is I'm going to make a plywood ring that's going to be, obviously it'll have a hole cut out, same diameter as that cut out, but then it'll also be slightly wider, so I can epoxy it to the inside of this, and then I'll probably bring it out about 2/3, and then it will be cut off, so I'll be able to slide it over the engine, or around the engine should I say, and then it'll meet up here, and I'll put 2 screws, well, a screw in the front here and a screw on the front the other side, so it'll fasten this front section in. That's the idea. But I think that is going to look pretty good. Just need to cut this off so I can close that gap there. But yeah, I just need to cut like another 5 mils, I think, out of this. So I will get that done, and then I think that's kind of it really. I'm not going to do any more to it just yet, because I'm going to crack on with the rest of the model, get it all finished, and then when I come to finish setting everything up, like putting the radio gear in, that's where I'll actually fashion the cowl on and drill those up, and I'll drill all the holes out. So that'll be in another video when I come to finally fasten it on, because I've still got to mess around with the throttle linkage and bits and bobs like that. The other thing I'm going to need to do as well is cut out a hole in the bottom of the cowl, which I'll probably just use a hole saw for, to cut out a hole, say about that big, kind of right in the middle of the cowl, and that'll just be for the exhaust pipes just to stick through. And I think that will work pretty nicely. So I'm going to wrap this video up. If you're enjoying following along with this, then why not click subscribe? I'd love to have you on board as a subscriber if you're into fixed wing RC and Balsa and engines, or even if you're not and you just enjoy watching people make things, then follow along to the channel. I'd really appreciate to have you on board as a subscriber, like I say. And if you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, because that helps me out on YouTube as well. And if you've got any comments, or maybe you would have done it differently or anything like that, then stick them in the comments box and I'll always make sure I reply to you. And in the meantime, I'll see you soon for the next one.